All right, welcome everybody. I'm Nathan Reish. I'm a staff writer for the Mountaineer newspaper, and this is my introductory podcast, my first podcast I've ever done. And I'm here with Taha Vahanvaty, and I think he will be a great person to interview. I think we'll have a productive conversation today, and we will be addressing controversial topics relating to school. I think this will really entertain our younger school related audience. And yeah, I think we'll have a great time. So I'm here with Taha.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a Supreme Court case that goes by, let me pull it up here. Supreme Court case that is not in the Supreme Court yet, but is it on its way there, Taha? Or is it?
Yep. It's set to be heard this February.
Okay. And it is labeled Mahoney Area School District versus BL. And could you tell us a little bit about this Supreme Court case?
Sure.
You're more informed on it than I am, but for the audience, I'm sure most of them don't know anything about it. So could you tell us a little bit about the case?
So I think the reason I was so interested in this case is because I think Mahanoy, this whole case, Mahanoy School District versus BL, is super duper related to everything that's going on in Stroudsburg. So just to give you a little background on what the Supreme Court case is, that it's a classic First Amendment right case. So the story behind it is that there was a cheerleader, and her name is BL, because she's a minor, so that name can't be released. But essentially what happened is that this case started all the way back in 2017. So she was a cheerleader in 8th grade, and she was on the cheerleading team. And unfortunately, she tried out and she didn't get on the varsity team. And so she posted a Snapchat post containing she was essentially holding up the middle finger and saying, F cheerleading, F, Mahoney, F the coach. And that snap, was seen by around 250 people. She eventually deleted it, but not before it was screenshotted by one of the cheerleader coach's daughters. So that post ended up making its way to the coaches, and it went up to Mahanoy School District administration, and the school district got a hold of it, and they suspended her. But her parents immediately, it's called appealing the suspension. They were like, like no way, like this is not allowed. So when they appealed that suspension, it went to a district court. And what ended up happening is the judge ruled that, and what's wild about this case is a nonprofit organization by the name of the ACLU. It stands for the American Civil Liberties Union. Were the people defending this girl. And what's cool about that is that the American Civil Liberties Union are like the people that you think of when I say names like Martin Luther King. And when I think of major civil rights cases, these are the people that fought for those civil rights, right? So like whether it's gay rights, transgender rights, black rights, Muslim rights. These are the people that are at the forefront fighting for them. But they're also like the strongest advocate for free speech, right? So like it doesn't matter whether the student said something offensive, vulgar, or even racist, right? It doesn't matter. They're at the forefront fighting on that free speech remark, because their philosophy is that it doesn't matter who it applies to. Free speech should be accessed by everyone. So what ended up happening at this court case is, and made its way all the way to the state Supreme Court case, and the general ruling was something along the lines of, because this was the precedent that existed was, another case called, Nate, maybe you can jog my memory. I think it was something along the lines of Tinker.
Yeah, Tinker v. Des Moines,
Yeah,
the Black
exactly.
armband case.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the precedent being is that, hey, if there's no disruption happening, right? So all these kids were wearing black armbands back in the 1970s. That the Supreme Court case said, hey, if they're not like disrupting class, then they can do what they want.
Free speech. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So all the cases in this Mahoney case, what they ended up ruling was that there wasn't really any disruption happening in class, and also the fact that it wasn't on school grounds, right? So like the school is infringing upon the student's rights. So even though the student signed, before she becoming a cheerleader, they have to like sign something that says like, I'm going to be respectful to teammates and my coaches and represent my school, all that jazz. that was, that doesn't apply anymore when she's off of school grounds, right? And that's what the court was ruling. And that case has made its way all the way to the Supreme Court case. The Supreme Court. And the reason it applies so much to what's happening in Stroudsburg right now is because, as some of you guys may remember, during the summer of 2020, there were a lot of videos that went absolutely viral across the nation of Stroudsburg students, posting, racist or offensive, or, what some could consider hateful language, on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it. And there was a lot of calls for school administration to do something about it. And by do something, they said either expel these students or suspend these students. And this school couldn't. And the case that they brought up is the Tinker case, right? And they're drawing it back to the fact that, hey, like this Mahoney case is the state Supreme Court made a decision on it. We have to abide by it, right? So until the Supreme Court makes something different, they have to abide what the state Supreme Court says. And the state Supreme Court says, hey, if it's off school grounds, you can't charge them.
Right. Definitely an interesting precedent to set, especially as this world progresses into a much more digital age, and the age where a lot of these controversial cases are going to take place off of school grounds. And it's interesting that this relates so closely to Stroudsburg and issues that we have seen. So yeah, I think it's
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why, I'm personally watching it super duper closely, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, I think it's very, very unlikely that the Supreme Court is going to rule differently than the state Supreme Court, because right now there's a conservative majority, and every single one of those judges has a undisputed history of voting in favor of freedom of speech. Right? That's basically their career up to this point, is like protecting free speech. However, there are some instances where you can like ask yourself, are they only protecting a certain type of free speech? There was a Supreme Court case, name is slipping me right now, but essentially, there was a student who wore a T-shirt that said "bongs for Jesus" or something along those lines, right? And it made it up its way all the way to the Supreme Court case. Again, freedom of expression, civil liberties, the lawsuit, and the Supreme Court case actually ruled in favor of this school, right? And these are, conservative judges that typically would always vote in favor of like students expressing what they want to express, students saying what they want to say. But all of a sudden there was this student who was wearing this T-shirt, bongs for Jesus. And they considered that disruptive, right? They considered that, hey, like that there's a line you have to draw. So
right.
it's interesting to see, I doubt the Supreme Court is going to rule differently than the state Supreme Court, but that's something to keep in mind, is that I think you can't assume that, as consistent as they have been, there have been some irregularities. And you
Right.
got to watch out for those.
Not to say for our audience to go out and do something so controversial to see what the Supreme Court will do.
Sure.
It will be interesting to see what happens, and I'm sure this is definitely not the first, definitely not the last time that we will see a case like this. So
It was, and just for the viewers' information, the Supreme Court case that ended up going where the student was wearing a T-shirt that said "Bong hits for Jesus," it was Morse versus Frederick. So that was the Supreme Court case that went all the way up.
if you want to check that out, go check it
Yeah.
out. And yeah, this case, this Mahanoy versus BL will be influential to our lives and our children's lives for years to come, I'm sure. So yeah, I think that was good to address that. And yeah, it's very present in our lives. It'll be very present in lives for years to come. So that was the first half of our podcast for everybody listening. And we wanted to address that issue because we think that it would be, it's a productive conversation to have. For the last 5 minutes here, we're gonna do some hot takes with Taha, see what he thinks about these questions, and maybe the questions that you've asked yourself, or I'm sure you've heard of. At our school, if you're a listener who doesn't go to Stroudsburg, we have a dress code, khaki pants or black pants and a polo every day. So I kind of like it, but Taha, do you think there should be a dress code? Is it right to have one? And does the dress code solve the intended issues that it sets out to solve?
So I'm only getting a minute for these, right? So these are
Right.
completely unwarranted, unofficial, official hot takes from the
Right.
Taha
Maybe
Vahanvaty.
45 seconds because
Got
we're
it,
a
understood.
little under 5 minutes left.
So I think the dress code is one of the best decisions the school board has made. I think it single-handedly decreased gang violence to almost 0%, which we're at now, right? Like, you have students that are sewing colors into their pockets and, turning their pockets inside out and walking down the hallways. There's just so many things. Like, there were a lot of gangs that were wearing, red or blue colored rosary beads, which like the school ended up getting rid of, like do-rags. There's a lot that the school dress code has done that's like super duper beneficial. The big problem with it, maybe it's not equally enforced with guys and girls, but that's a problem. That's another problem, not the
Well, yeah,
school.
it's something that it can be solved,
Sure,
and maybe with some progress. But personally, if I could inject my opinion, I like it. It's easy to, like, in the morning decide what you want to wear.
sure,
But I think
definitely.
besides the easiness aspect, I think it also solves some issues that needed solving at the time the dress code was implemented. So good. Next question. Um, does high school? I've caught myself asking this to myself a few times this year. Um, does high school really address the ideas and issues that students need to learn for their lives, such as like how to pay taxes, how to change a tire, paying bills, that kind of stuff? I say, oh, why do I need to learn this? So, does high school really address the issues that we need to learn in life?
Um, Now that's a tough question because I know that every single person in Stroudsburg has taken "This Is Your Life,"
Yeah,
right? And God bless Miss Miracle and her awesome Texan soul. But there's just some stuff that I just don't remember that's so useful, right? Like I need to know what a W-4 is. I need to know what a W-2 is. I need to know how to pay taxes.
yeah.
And
I
Miss
just
Miracle
got my
taught me
first
how to do
W
that.
two W4.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But that's crazy is that like why don't we remember? And I think something needs to change. I don't think we have to blame the school system because I think they're doing something. But I think we need to take a closer look at it because stuff like that is happening. But it's just maybe not working as well. And that might be coming from a student's side and from a school side.
all right, sounds good. Number three. Should school start so early? It's very hard to wake up early, especially for after school activities. So do you think this 7 a.m. start time is beneficial? What do you think?
Oof. Now you're talking to somebody with horrible time management. So I think the best advice I can give and trying to be objective as possible is maybe I think we got to get rid of these like 5-day school days, right? Like even companies are saying like, hey, let's keep like 4-day work weeks. So I think if we like keep 4 days, I think if we change that construct, I think that'll be far more effective. So like keep the times the way you want. Just take out a day, keep it asynchronous.
Yeah. And this is really funny because I'm getting a call right now from Stroudsburg, and I think it's probably canceling school for tomorrow, and it leads right into my next question. Um, I didn't get up to answer the phone, but I'm assuming it's canceling school because we're getting like 2 feet of snow outside right now. Should snow days be taken away? You know, it's asynchronous days of learning, but we're getting out earlier in June because the day still counts.
Hmm.
Here we go. School is canceled for tomorrow. That is really funny that it worked out that way. But should snow days be taken away the way they have been this year?
Oof. Now that's wild because I'm thinking right now, no.
Yeah,
I think 1 or 2 snow days, at least one snow day, right? That's like normal. Like we can get back to like saving the world and like like surviving, just like normal day things. Um, Tomorrow, like let's just play in the snow. But I mean, like for the future, I don't know. That might be cool to see.
yeah,
Like if we're all doing normal things, like let's see where asynchronous takes us. But as of right now, I would very much like to build a snow angel, Nate.
yeah. It is. It's definitely weird, and I think that maybe this will be how it is forever doing online school on snow days, and we'll be like, oh, when you were a senior, and I was a junior, that's how we
Oh
were
my
the first ones to get it started. But um,
God.
it
You're
looks
gonna
like
come back in my day?
remember back in my day, yeah. So I think we're out of time now. I think it was a great, productive 15 minutes, and
Fun,
hopefully the
fun.
audience enjoyed it. So
Sure.
this is it. Thank you to the audience making it to this point and dealing with us for 15 minutes.
Will we be back,
Nathan
Nate?
Rice,
Will
yeah.
we give the people more?
Maybe sometime in the future we'll give you more. But
Hey,
I'm Nathan Rice. You are,
I'm Taha Vahanvaty.
and yeah, that's it. Thank you everybody for listening.